What if your future self is already trying to send you messages, guiding you toward the life you're meant to live? Through quantum communication and frequency alignment, you can unlock those signals, awaken your higher consciousness, and manifest the reality waiting for you. Imagine tuning your mind and body into the exact frequency where your future self already exists. Every thought, every emotion, every vibration becomes a bridge, allowing guidance, clarity, and synchronicities to flow effortlessly into your present moment. This is not just intuition, it's quantum communication, aligning you with the timeline where your highest potential is already real.
This isn't coincidence. This is quantum communication. You see, consciousness doesn't exist in linear time the way we've been taught. Your awareness, your deeper knowing, your intuitive self, it operates across what quantum physicists call the eternal now, where all possibilities exist simultaneously. Right now, your future self, the one who figured it out, who broke through, who stepped into full alignment, they're actively influencing your present moment reality. Think about it. How many times have you had a moment where you just knew something was meant for you? Where a book fell off a shelf, a conversation happened at exactly the right time, or a piece of content appeared in your feed that felt like it was speaking directly to your soul. That's not the algorithm. That's not luck. That's your future self, operating from a place of quantum coherence, creating synchronicities to guide you home to who you're becoming. But here's where everything shifts. Most people experience these moments and dismiss them. They rationalize them away, call them coincidence or worse. They acknowledge the sign but then do nothing with it. They go right back to operating from their current identity, their current limitations, their current story about what's possible. Your future self isn't just sending you messages. They're showing you the frequency, the energetic signature of the reality you're moving toward. And the moment you begin to embody that frequency now, before the external circumstances match it, that's when you collapse the timeline between where you are and where you're going. Let me share something with you that changed everything for me. I was sitting in meditation one morning, feeling completely stuck in my life. Same patterns, same limitations, same story playing on repeat. And suddenly, I had this profound knowing, not a thought, but a cellular understanding, that there was a version of me who had already transcended all of this. I could feel them, their presence, their calm certainty. In that moment, I realized that transformation isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you already are in your highest timeline and choosing to embody that energy signature now. Your future self isn't someone you have to become. They're who you are when you remove everything that isn't authentically you. The quantum field responds to identity, not desire. It responds to who you're being, not what you want. When you start operating from the energy of your actualized self, speaking as they would speak, moving as they would move, making decisions from their level of consciousness, reality has no choice but to reorganize itself around that frequency. This is why affirmations alone don't work for most people. They're trying to convince their current self to believe something different, but they're still operating from the same energetic foundation. Your future self doesn't need to be convinced of anything. They know, they embody, they simply are. So how do you make contact? How do you receive the transmission more clearly? First, you have to understand that your future self exists in a state of coherence. Their thoughts, emotions, and actions are aligned. They're not split between what they want and what they believe is possible. They've collapsed that duality. When you find yourself in states of inner conflict, wanting something but believing you can't have it, desiring change but staying in familiar patterns, you're creating static in the quantum communication channel. The clearer your internal signal becomes, the stronger the connection. This means getting brutally honest about where you're living in contradiction. Where are you saying you want one thing, but energetically choosing another? Where are you playing small to stay comfortable? Where are you letting fear make decisions that your expanded self would never make? Your future self operates from love, not fear. They make choices from expansion, not contraction. They trust the intelligence of the universe because they've learned to trust the intelligence within themselves. Every time you choose love over fear, expansion over contraction, trust over control, you're tuning into their frequency more clearly. Here's something profound. Your future self remembers this moment. They remember watching this video, feeling the recognition, sensing the possibility. They remember the exact moment you decided to stop living from your limitations and start embodying your potential. That moment is happening right now. But they also remember the choice you made after watching this. Did you dismiss it as too good to be true and go back to your old patterns? Or did you recognize this as the cosmic nudge you've been asking for and actually do something different? Because here's the thing, and this is where most people lose the thread. Receiving the message is only half the equation. The other half is embodying it. Your future self can send you all the signs in the world, but you have to meet them halfway by taking inspired action from a new identity. This doesn't mean you have to overhaul your entire life tomorrow. It means you start making micro choices from the energy of who you're becoming. It means when you wake up in the morning, you ask yourself, how would my actualized self move through this day? And then you honor that knowing, even if it feels unfamiliar. Maybe your actualized self speaks up in that meeting instead of staying silent. Maybe they invest in that course, book that trip, have that difficult conversation. Maybe they simply treat themselves with the love and respect they know they deserve. Small choices, made consistently from an expanded identity, create quantum leaps in reality. Your future self lives in a reality where everything you desire is natural, effortless, expected. They're not trying to manifest anything because they understand that they are the manifestation. They've realized that the external world is always reflecting the internal frequency. Change the frequency, change the reality. This is why gratitude is so powerful. Not gratitude for what you have, but gratitude for what's already yours in the quantum field. Your future self feels grateful, not hopeful. They feel certain, not wishful. When you can generate those same feelings now, you're literally pulling that reality into your present moment experience. Take a moment right now and feel into that version of you. Don't think about it, feel it. How do they carry themselves? What energy do they move with? How do they speak to themselves? What does their inner dialogue sound like? That's not fantasy. That's real-time quantum communication. That's your GPS coordinates for where you're heading. And here's where this gets really interesting. The more you embody your future self's energy, the more you start noticing that reality is responding. Opportunities appear. The right people show up. Resources become available. It's not that the universe is suddenly paying attention to you. It's that you're finally operating on the same frequency as your desires. Your future self doesn't hustle or force or push. They attract through alignment. They understand that everything they need is already flowing toward them, and their job is simply to stay clear, stay open, and stay receptive. When you're constantly stressed about how things will unfold, you're blocking the very flow you're trying to create. This is why patience isn't passive waiting. Patience is active faith. It's trusting the timing of your life while continuing to show up as the person you're becoming. Your future self knows that divine timing isn't about delay. It's about preparation. Every moment between now and your full manifestation is preparing you to hold, sustain, and enjoy what's coming. Now I want you to pause for a moment and comment below with this exact phrase: I am receiving the transmission. Don't just type it casually. Feel it. Recognize that by commenting those words, you're making a conscious declaration to the quantum field that you're ready to step into deeper alignment with your future self. You're signaling that you're not just watching this as entertainment. You're here for transformation. The act of declaring your readiness creates a coherent signal that your future self can work with more powerfully. It's like tuning a radio to a clearer frequency. So go ahead, pause this video and comment, I am receiving the transmission. Because here's what your future self wants you to understand. You're not behind. You're not late. You haven't missed your chance. Every single thing that has happened in your life has been preparing you for this moment of recognition. Every challenge has built your capacity. Every setback has refined your vision. Every moment of feeling lost has deepened your desire for true alignment. Your future self sees the perfection in your journey that you can't see from where you currently stand. They understand that even your perceived mistakes were course corrections, guiding you toward your highest timeline. This is why they're not worried about you. They're excited for you. They know you're about to remember something extraordinary. But remembering isn't enough. Integration is everything. Your future self doesn't just know these truths. They live them. They've integrated spiritual understanding into practical action. They've learned to navigate the physical world from a multidimensional perspective. They make decisions from intuition and then back them up with inspired action. This means that as you begin to receive these transmissions more clearly, you have to be willing to act on the guidance you receive, even when it doesn't make logical sense to your current self. Your future self operates from a much broader perspective than your current self can access. Sometimes the step they're guiding you towards seems sideways or backwards from your current vantage point, but they can see the whole path where you can only see the next step. Learning to trust this guidance is learning to trust yourself at a deeper level than you've ever accessed before. It's recognizing that you contain wisdom far beyond what your conditioned mind can comprehend. Your future self is not separate from you. They are you, operating from a state of full remembrance. I'm curious, in the comments below, share one moment when you felt your future self guiding you. Maybe it was an intuitive nudge that led to something beautiful, or a decision that didn't make logical sense but felt absolutely right. What happened when you trusted that deeper knowing? And here's something beautiful. The moment you truly embody this understanding, you become a transmission for others. Your energy, your presence, your way of moving through the world starts activating the same remembrance in other people. You become a walking reminder that transformation is possible, that there's another way to live, that we're all more powerful than we've been told. If what I'm sharing is creating a resonance in your system, if you feel something stirring that recognizes these words as truth, then I invite you to subscribe, not just to this channel, but to this frequency. Subscribe to living from your highest self. Subscribe to trusting the intelligence of your own becoming. Subscribe to being part of a community that understands we're all here to remember who we really are. When you hit that subscribe button, you're making a commitment to stay connected to this conversation, to continue receiving the transmissions that will guide you home to yourself. Because this isn't just about watching videos. This is about being part of a collective awakening, a community of beings who are choosing to embody their fullest potential. Your future self lives in a reality where this level of consciousness is normal, where people operate from love instead of fear, where collaboration replaces competition, where everyone understands that we rise together or not at all. Every person who remembers their true nature, who steps into alignment with their highest self, contributes to that reality becoming more accessible for everyone. This is why your personal transformation matters so much. You're not just changing your own life. You're contributing to the morphic field of possibility for our entire species. Your future self exists in a timeline where enough people have made this shift that it creates a new baseline for human consciousness. But it starts with you. It starts with this moment. It starts with your willingness to receive the transmission and then embody it. So let me ask you, what would change in your life if you truly trusted that your future self is guiding you? What would you do differently if you knew that every intuitive nudge, every moment of recognition, every synchronicity was a breadcrumb leading you toward your highest timeline? What if you stopped waiting for external permission and started listening to the permission your future self has already given you? What if you stopped looking for proof and started becoming the proof? What if you realized that the very fact you're watching this video, feeling this recognition, sensing this possibility, is all the confirmation you need that something bigger is moving through your life? Your future self remembers the exact moment they stopped doubting and started trusting. They remember when they finally understood that they didn't need to figure everything out. They just needed to follow the guidance as it appeared. They remember when they realized that the path to their dreams wasn't about forcing or controlling, but about aligning and allowing. That moment is available to you right now. Not someday when you feel more ready, not tomorrow when you have more clarity, not next week when you've got your life together. Right now. This is the moment your future self remembers as the turning point. The quantum field is always responding to your dominant frequency. If you're operating from lack, limitation, and fear, that's what gets reflected back to you. But the moment you begin to embody abundance, possibility, and love, even before you see external evidence of it, that's when reality begins to shift around you. Your future self understands something profound. They are not the effect of their circumstances. They are the cause of them. They've learned to generate their internal state independent of external conditions, and then watch as the external world reorganizes itself to match their internal frequency. This is what it means to be a conscious creator. This is what it means to step into your power as an infinite being having a human experience. Your future self isn't hoping the universe will give them what they want. They know they are an extension of the same intelligence that creates galaxies and grows flowers. They've remembered that they are the universe expressing itself in human form. And so are you. Right now. Not someday when you've evolved more or learned more or become more spiritual. Right now, you are the same infinite intelligence that your future self has remembered themselves to be. The only difference is the degree to which that truth is integrated into your daily experience. This integration happens through conscious choice, moment by moment, decision by decision. Every time you choose love over fear, every time you choose expansion over contraction, every time you choose to trust the intelligence of life instead of trying to control it, you're becoming more coherent with your future self's frequency. And here's the miraculous thing. As you become more coherent, the communication becomes clearer. The guidance becomes stronger. The synchronicities become more obvious. It's like you're tuning into a radio station that was always broadcasting. You just needed to adjust your frequency to receive it clearly. Your future self wants you to know that you're already receiving everything you need, the ideas that inspire you, the opportunities that appear, the people who show up in your life. These aren't random occurrences. They're the universe responding to the clear signal of your expanding consciousness. But you have to be willing to receive. You have to be willing to say yes to opportunities that your current self might find intimidating. You have to be willing to trust guidance that doesn't always make logical sense. You have to be willing to act from the energy of who you're becoming, not who you've been. This is where faith becomes practical. Faith isn't blind belief. Faith is acting from a knowing that exists beyond what your current circumstances suggest is possible. Your future self operates from this kind of faith because they've seen how reality responds when you align with your deepest truth. They've learned that the universe isn't testing you to see if you're worthy. The universe is constantly offering you experiences that match your energetic frequency. Raise your frequency, and different experiences become available. It's not about earning or deserving. It's about aligning. And alignment isn't something you achieve once and then maintain forever. It's a moment-by-moment choice to return to your center, to remember who you are, to choose from love instead of fear. Your future self has developed the capacity to return to alignment quickly when they've been knocked off course. They've learned that wobbling is part of the process, not a sign of failure. This is why self-compassion is so crucial to this work. Your future self treats themselves with infinite kindness and patience because they understand that judgment and criticism create static in the quantum communication system. The more lovingly you treat yourself, the clearer the channel becomes. Right now, your future self is sending you the energy of complete acceptance for exactly where you are in your journey. They're not disappointed in your progress. They're not frustrated with your speed. They see the perfection in your timing because they can see the bigger picture that you can't yet see. They want you to know that every single experience you've had has been preparing you for this moment of awakening. Every relationship, every job, every challenge, every victory, it has all been weaving together to create the perfect conditions for your remembrance. What we've explored today is just the surface of a much deeper quantum system of consciousness mastery. If these transmissions are creating a resonance in your field, there's an entire framework of 9 master frequencies that can transform you from someone who seeks to someone who simply is. In my complete guide, Beyond the Frequencies, I walk you through each ascending current, from breaking free of survival static to becoming the broadcast itself. It's linked in the pinned comment below. Your future self also wants you to understand that transformation doesn't have to be difficult. The struggle you've been experiencing isn't because the path is hard. It's because you've been swimming against the current instead of learning to flow with it. The moment you stop resisting the intelligence of your own becoming and start cooperating with it, everything becomes easier. This doesn't mean challenges disappear. It means you develop a completely different relationship with challenges. Instead of seeing them as obstacles, you start recognizing them as invitations to expand. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you start asking, "How is this serving my highest evolution?" Your future self has learned to see every experience as feedback from the universe. When things flow easily, it's confirmation that you're aligned. When things feel difficult, it's information that something in your approach needs to adjust. It's all guidance. It's all serving your awakening. If this understanding is creating a shift in your awareness, take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe to stay connected to this frequency of transformation. Let's continue. But let's go deeper into this quantum communication system, because understanding how it actually works changes everything about how you navigate your reality. Your future self exists in what quantum physicists call a collapsed wave function, meaning they've moved from potential into actualized reality. But here's the fascinating part. That collapsed state creates a gravitational pull on all the potential versions of you that exist in the quantum field. Think of it like this. Imagine your life as a vast ocean of possibility waves, and your future self has become a stabilized island in that ocean. Every choice you make either moves you closer to that island or carries you further away from it. But because that island exists as a fixed point in the quantum field, it's constantly sending out signals, energetic lighthouse beams, that you can learn to navigate by. These signals don't always come as thoughts or ideas. Sometimes they come as sudden knowing, as body sensations, as emotional shifts that seem to come from nowhere. Your future self has learned to communicate through the language of energy because energy transcends the limitations of linear time. When you suddenly feel a rush of excitement about an opportunity that logically doesn't make sense, that might be your future self signaling that this path leads toward the island of your actualized potential. But here's where most people get confused. They think that following their future self's guidance means everything will be smooth and easy. That's not how it works. Your future self is guiding you toward your highest evolution, not your greatest comfort. Sometimes the path that leads to your actualized self requires you to step through fears, to release attachments, to grow beyond the boundaries of who you've been. Your future self remembers every moment of discomfort they experienced during their journey, and they have deep compassion for what you're going through. But they also know that each challenge you're facing is precisely calibrated to develop the capacities you'll need to sustain the reality they're living. They're not sending you struggles. They're helping you recognize the growth opportunities that were already present in your experience. This is why resistance creates suffering, but acceptance creates transformation. When you fight against what's happening in your life, you're essentially arguing with the intelligence of your own evolution. Your future self never resisted their growth process. They learned to trust that every experience was serving their becoming, even when they couldn't see how. And here's something profound. Your future self exists in a state of what we might call quantum gratitude. They're not grateful for what happened to them. They're grateful for what happened through them. They understand that they were never a victim of their circumstances, but always a participant in their own becoming. This shift in perspective changes everything about how you relate to your current challenges. When you can look at your life from this quantum perspective, you start to see patterns that were invisible before. You begin to recognize that what you thought were random events were actually precisely orchestrated experiences designed to guide you toward your highest timeline. That job that didn't work out wasn't rejection, it was redirection. That relationship that ended wasn't failure, it was completion. That financial setback wasn't punishment, it was recalibration. Your future self sees the perfection in your path because they're viewing it from the end result. It's like watching a movie for the second time. Everything that seemed random or confusing the first time through now makes perfect sense because you know how it all comes together. Your future self is watching your movie for the second time, and they want you to trust the plot even when you can't see where it's leading. But trust, in this context, isn't passive. It's not sitting back and waiting for things to happen to you. Trust is actively participating in your own evolution by saying yes to the opportunities that align with your highest self, even when they feel scary or uncertain. Your future self has learned to distinguish between the fear that keeps you safe and the fear that keeps you small. They've developed the discernment to feel the difference between intuitive warning and ego resistance. This discernment is crucial because as you begin to receive stronger transmissions from your future self, you'll often feel called to make choices that your current identity finds threatening. Your ego mind, which has been programmed to keep you safe and predictable, will generate all kinds of logical-sounding reasons why you shouldn't follow that guidance. It will tell you to be practical, to be realistic, to not get your hopes up. But your future self operates from a completely different set of assumptions about what's possible. They've proven to themselves that the universe is fundamentally supportive, that there's always a way forward, that everything they need is available when they need it. They've learned to make decisions from abundance rather than scarcity, from possibility rather than limitation, from love rather than fear. And here's the beautiful paradox. The more you act from the energy of your future self, the more you begin to embody their reality. It's not that you're pretending to be someone you're not. You're finally being who you've always been beneath the layers of conditioning and limitation. Your future self isn't someone you become. They're who you are when you remove everything that isn't authentically you. This process of removal, of shedding what isn't real, is what mystics have called the dark night of the soul. But your future self wants you to understand that this dissolution isn't a punishment or a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's the natural process of transformation. Just as a caterpillar must dissolve in the chrysalis before emerging as a butterfly, aspects of your old identity must dissolve before your true self can emerge. Your future self has great compassion for this dissolution process because they remember how disorienting it can be. There were times when they questioned everything, when nothing made sense, when they felt like they were losing themselves completely. But they now understand that they weren't losing themselves. They were losing the false self that was never real to begin with. This is why spiritual traditions often talk about dying before you die. It's not about physical death. It's about the death of the ego identity that was never your true self. Your future self has undergone this death and resurrection process, and they want you to know that what emerges on the other side is so much more beautiful than what gets left behind. But the dissolution doesn't happen all at once. It happens in layers, in cycles, in spirals of increasing depth. Each time you choose to align with your highest self instead of your conditioned patterns, another layer of false identity dissolves. Each time you trust your intuition over your logical mind, another layer of limitation falls away. Each time you act from love instead of fear, another aspect of your true self is revealed. Your future self exists in a reality where this process is complete.
Remember, your future self is not separate from you. It's already calling you through quantum frequencies. Align with that signal, and you'll awaken the power to consciously manifest the life you were always destined to live.